There you have it. Canelo Alvarez has signed a 3-fight deal with PBC. Done deal for September. Charlo fight, I think. Eddie Hearn must be. I know Eddie. He's probably spewing over this one, but I think the conveyor belt of fighters that Eddie has for Canelo just wasn't there. Belanga, maybe. Do you know what I mean? But Belanga's still got a little bit of learning to do. He's still got to climb his way up them rankings. But for me, as the boxing fan, I'm looking who's on the PBC side of the street. And do you know who's over there? Benavidez. David Benavidez. Love it. If PBC can pull that fight off, which if you just look at what they've done this year in Tank Davis and Ryan Garcia and Spence and Crawford, if anyone can get that fight that we've all been wanting, it's PBC right now. They have Benavidez. They've just signed Canelo to a 3-fight deal. I think Benavidez, if he fights Charlo, Canelo look like he's fighting Jamal Charlo September 16th this year, Mexican Independence Day. Cinco de Mayo next year, Benavidez. Benavidez looks like he's fighting David Morrell, the unbeaten Cuban. But like I say, if anyone can get this done, it's PBC. They seem to be listening to the fans, what they want, as is all promoters. All promoters are listening to the fans now. We need these fights. This year has been fantastic, man. 2023 has been fantastic for fights, and we're getting them done. We're getting them as fans. We're getting to see the mega fights I've always wanted to see, which is great for boxing. But the Mexican monster against Canelo, wow, what a fight that would be. You just need to look at when two Mexicans go at it, it's a war, it's a battle. There's so much pride involved in that country, and when two Mexicans go at it, they don't want to lose. First fight that comes to mind is Antonio Barrera and Eric Morales. They had a trilogy to try and settle their score. But wow, if that can get made, it's fantastic. Now, even the 3 fights that PBC might have lined up for Canelo, we know Charlo has been out the ring, 2.5 years by the time he steps through them ropes against Canelo. It's a long time for any fighter. That'll be in September. Benavidez is Cinco de Mayo next year. Then he's got another fight in September. The 3rd fight, Errol Spence. We all know that Errol Spence has mentioned the Canelo fight. Errol Spence is massive at 147. He walks around at like 180, 190, whatever it is. We'll need to wait and see how his fight with Crawford plays out. There's a rematch clause in that. So we need to see how that plays out. Let's say they fight in July, January, February next year to get the rematch on. That leaves September, plenty of time. So the 3 fights for Canelo, all going well. Does Canelo need to win? Probably needs to beat Charlo and then get that Benavidez fight. But Canelo draw is a big draw. Win, lose, or draw, people are going to turn out to see him. So just imagine this September 2023, Jamal Charlo. Cinco de Mayo next year, David Benavidez. September next year, Errol Spence. Now, where does that put Canelo in terms of pound for pound? He never ducked anyone. Old school fighter, like the 80s, the Durans, the Lenners, the Hearns, the Haglers, the fighters that just had 100-odd fights and they just kept on fighting each other. Wow, what a guy, what a fighter, Canelo. Throwback fighter, and that's what we want to see. Listen, but for me, again, as that fan, the boxing fan, this year's been fantastic for fights. And that if we get Canelo Benavidez next year, along with Canelo Charlo in September, I mean, so far the boxing has picked up his game, and these promoters, all the promoters, Eddie Hearns, Al Heyman, Oscar De La Hoya, Frank Warren, they've all Boxer of Bench Lumber, all putting these big fights. And we've had Liam Smith, Chris Eubank, great fight. We've had Yard Beterbiev, great fight. We've had Plant and Benavidez, great fight. We're getting great fights after great fights. Josh Taylor, Teofimo Lopez just a couple of weeks ago. We're getting them. Tank Davis, Ryan Garcia, Spence Crawford in July. It just keeps on coming. It just keeps on coming, and that's what boxing's all about. That old saying, the customer's always right. Boxing fans, we're the customers. We're always right. We know what we want. We pay for the tickets. We pay for the pay-per-views. We deserve the fights that we want to see. We want to see Canelo versus Benavidez. That is the fight we want to see. We also want to see the heavyweights. Now, there's a lot of talk about this mega fight, this mega thing happening out in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia with all 4 heavyweights. it looks promising each and every week. Things come out and stuff like that. So if we get that in December, with Canelo and Charlo in September, with talks about Benavidez happening in the Cinco de Mayo next year, I mean, come on. It's a great time to be a boxing fan. Great time. And fighters, stop worrying about that zero on your record, man. Stop worrying about it. Who cares? Floyd Mayweather marketed that zero and he made millions of it. He made millions off it. All right. That's because people tuned in to see him get beat. Never tuned in to see him win. They tuned in to see him get beat, and he's marketed that zero and made millions. That's not the blueprint for every fighter. All right. You could argue that Floyd Mayweather maybe have picked his opponents at the right time and whatnot, that Pacquiao was past it. He picked Canelo when he wasn't in his prime. He was only 23, Canelo. Canelo was in his prime around that 28, 29, 30, where he is now. So that's a video for another day. I'm not saying that's the case. I'm just saying there's an argument for it. But yeah, Benavidez, Canelo, come on now. Come on. Charlo, Benavidez, Spence, Charlo, Spence, Benavidez, whatever order, I don't care. If we get that fight, the Mexican monster against Canelo, wow, what a thing. Let me know what you think about Canelo signing with PBC. Good or bad, let me know.